And most processes and systems are function focused. They're designed to get a job done quickly. But humans, we have feelings, we have insecurities, we have motivations for why we want to do things. And gamification is rooted in these motivational core drive.
Hey, Matt, welcome to the show. How are you?
I am doing great. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to talk with you.
Of course, I'm also interested to know a bit more about your business, what you're building, what are happening, like things are happening in the industry and so on. But before we get into that, usually we do this thing called map. That is just a nice way, to understand a bit about yourself, the business, anything professionally or personally you would like to share. And basically it's the mission. So what do you aim to achieve? The achievements, anything that you're really proud of, could be personally or, professionally speaking. And the last one is the purpose. So in addition to the mission, that what do you want to achieve is why are you doing what you're doing?
I love building, and I've had several phases of my career where I've been able to build something without really a map, right? I'm less comfortable in being a caretaker or an enforcer, and I'm more interested in understanding how to create something that hasn't existed before. I want to be a marketing operator, and I want to be an operational marketer. I call that left brain, right brain, whole brain. Right? So that could be building and defining processes, creating new relationships, mentorship, but building something that doesn't exist. That's my mission. The A, you said, is for
achievements.
Achievement. Well, for those who are listening, you can't see, but this face has been through many years of professional experience. So I like to think that I've achieved a lot. And one thing I learned early on is that, achievement is much more important than the activity. And having built some really successful phases throughout my career, the outcome and the output is something I can, very proudly stand behind. From building early websites that defined how the first phase of the internet would create experiences for consumers and fans and just those interested in different topics. And then being a very early leader in what we call Web 2.0. That's social media. Building the first social community practice at an agency 15 plus years ago when brands weren't on Facebook, they weren't on YouTube, they weren't creating content outside of a one-directional advertising model. So building that multi-directional model is something that I'm quite proud of, and having done it for some of the biggest brands in the world and created some of the most memorable and iconic experiences and outputs is really something that I'm proud of having achieved. And P, what's P?
P is purpose.
Yeah, purpose is really is progress, right? It's advancing the quality and in some cases the quantity of what we do. So this is why I do what I do. It fuels me. I am a creative who likes to take a big idea and then figure out how to actually get it done.
Amazing. And, so you said, many years of building things, right? You mentioned Web, 1, Web 2.0, Web 3. What are you building right now? Tell us a bit more about that.
We are in a really exciting time where technology is accelerating at a pace that few can actually keep up with, and even fewer can actually lead. But what it's resulting in is a proliferation of content, of creation, as well as automation. And all of these, this convergence of Asians, right, is creation and operation. And it's really creating for marketers and for consumers an overwhelming amount of information. And that interaction with each other in community ecosystems, whether it's in real life or, at a concert or at a sporting event or in a restaurant or in a store, is one experience. And the way we engage with each other online or on social is a different experience. And the way that we are now connecting in metaverses is another experience. And what we are building at Kazm is a centralized, unified platform that incentivizes and rewards consumers or fans for participating in high-value actions, but in one simplified ecosystem. So if I'm a brand and I've got a Pinterest page and a TikTok channel and I'm selling products online and in store, how do I actually know who my consumer is? The platform that we have built, Kazm, is a membership solution that through opt-in gets people to connect, engage, and advocate on my behalf. And in return, they get something for it. So it's kind of like the next generation of brand loyalty and engagement.
So, based on this, we'll see like so many apps popping up in the past years having a big struggle with one thing, that is retention, right? It's like, why should I go back, right, to the app? Why should I continue buying there? And so on. So, I'm interested to know a bit more about the incentive part, right? On how can you get the user get in, right, the first day, and then continuously either buying or going to an event and so on, right? So one of the things that I see is also it's gamification, right? In addition to incentives. Let's talk about gamification. I love it personally. Tell me a few examples or anything that you can share on that.
Yeah, gamification is not a new concept, but it really taps into the human psychology, if you think about it, right? Loyalty programs have been around forever, hundreds of years. You think, really, what is a brand going to do to acquire and retain a consumer? And they're built on gamification mechanics, right? Consumers, fans, and audiences are more likely to shop for a brand or buy a product if they know there's something in it for them. But gamification itself doesn't automatically result in brand loyalty, right? Consumers have evolved. Brands have struggled to keep up with technology and just the cultural zeitgeist. But a lot of the programs and the solutions and the engagement models that we've been a part of for many years they're losing effectiveness because they're either very siloed, right? Buy 5 coffees and get 1 free, or eat 5 pizzas and get 1 free. Like, it's very transactional, but it's also very siloed to first-party channels. It's your website, your app, your e-commerce page, right? It's very transactional. It's very focused on sort of the buying of in exchange for something else. But we want to think about something more, and gamification is focused on human design, not function-focused design. Most processes and systems are function-focused. They're designed to get a job done quickly. But humans, we have feelings. We have insecurities. We have motivations for why we want to do things. And gamification is rooted in these motivational core drives. Those core drives are the sense of accomplishment or development, or the need to feel seen, or the need to create something and participate in something, or to own something, or be part of something bigger than ourselves. And that's why if you can tap into and understand the gamification mentality and then design a value exchange as a brand or as a marketer or as a company, where we can define actions that we want you to take, share some data with us, buy our product, talk about us, tell your friends, right? That gamification can improve brand marketing. We know that it increases engagement. We know that it increases awareness. It increases loyalty, and it significantly decreases attrition. When it's done right, gamification can encourage word of mouth. It can create all of the positive net needs a business has to not only survive, but to thrive, right? I think the stat, and I'm not looking at it right now off the top of my head, it's 60% of customers who interact with a gamified element of a brand actually make a purchase. That's huge, right? There's a 55% lift in wallet share when gamification is involved. There's a 10% increase in revenue for a brand. So these are not just human emotional, they are also functional, but gamifying loyalty means defining the value exchange between what a brand gets out of that and what a consumer gets out of it, and making sure it's balanced.
Do you have any like successful case studies or something that either you did or something that you saw that you were like, you know what, that is, again, not the typical buy now and get one for free, but it was like, more about, the brand values, the brand image, either, I don't know, like maybe creative involved, anything like that.
One of my favorites, actually, if anyone is listening or watching from the Pacific Northwest, there is a Seattle-based company called Midnight Cookie Co. They sell great, delicious cookies, but also ice cream and coffee. And they've created a truly omni-channel experience where, they want people to come to the store, but they just as much want people to post about it on Google and post reviews. They want people to post Instagram and TikTok videos of people eating, the cookie. So by defining a series of actions and incentivizing through different types of rewards, whether it's recognition or discounts or merch or other perks and access, the Midnight Cookie Co. is creating a super fan loyalty program that will spread the word of mouth throughout all their locations by people talking about it, I'm way more likely to listen to you talking about a product or a brand that you like than just responding to an ad. What's becoming really interesting around products or brands that already have an established program, thinking beyond what they already do to connect with new consumers or create incentives for different types of just expansion and reach and engagement. Starbucks, another Seattle company. I'm in New York. I don't know, I'm talking about Seattle so much. But Starbucks is actually a really good example of a brand that's thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
They have a very powerful loyalty program that drives a ton of engagement. They have very passionate consumers, but they actually expanded their points program with a Web3 based experience where they've got tokenized. I mean, they are NFTs, and I know NFTs went through a down period and are now starting to make a comeback, but their tokenized loyalty program around journeys and quests and gamification and rewards, but also a collectible component around just cool art is actually driving yet another phase of their program, their engagement. It's driven revenue, it's driving engagement, but it's also just getting people talking about them in a different way that is showing that they are innovative and thinking outside the box and reaching out to and appealing to new types of consumers. And that expansive omni-channel thinking is what I wish more brands are thinking about. Some are starting to move in that direction, but you don't need to be on blockchain or have NFTs to think about a more connected ecosystem, right? Getting beyond that silo of just transactional first-party experiences is important. We work with artists, bands, musicians, sports teams, athletes who are now gamifying their fan clubs. And you think about what a musician might want. They want people to go to their show. They want people to buy their merch. They want people to listen to their songs. They want people to download and pre-save on Spotify and on Apple. But they also want their fans to post about them on social media. So how do we connect all of those behaviors into one unified model? Well, yes, we built a platform for that, but it also requires a strategic understanding of who your consumer and audience segments are, and then creating personalized content and experiences that get them to do that, and then reward them for doing that.
Hello! Is your brand ready to amplify its reach? Well, the Influencer Marketing Factory is here to do just that. We are a global influencer marketing agency helping brands ignite their growth, from influencer identification to campaign strategy, handling legalities and agreements to managing shipping and logistics. We have it all covered. We work with hundreds of brands across different verticals, from Fortune 500 companies to DTC brands. And we don't just stop there. With detailed ROI analysis, we help brands like yours measure success, transforming impressions into actionable conversions. You can find us at the influencermarketingfactory.com or just search the Influencer Marketing Factory on Google.
There is a lot of content, right, being posted every single day. So these also something else I wanted to discuss with you, because, you have the brand posting, you have the artist posting, you have the fan posting, right? And can be like a plethora of content, so especially like now, between that and AI-powered content, right, that is so easy to generate, how can marketers listening today in this episode prioritize something that is going to be like, the priority of this, so the outcome, right? So the engagement, the, return on investment, sign-ups, whatever, compared to instead there is the output, basically the content, right, that you can generate in an easy way. So how do you balance that, especially now with your platform where you can collect so many data and content? How do you go through the noise?
Yeah, cutting through that clutter is important, right? And marketers do face this challenge of ensuring their content not only reaches the right audience, but also resonates with them. So to prioritize the effective engagement over mere content output, there are a few strategies that I think we've seen that work. One is just developing real audience-centric content. Knowing your audience's preferences, their pain points, their interests, what motivates them, right? I talked about that human element to it, but tailoring content to address those specific needs and interests is going to make it way more likely to engage them. And collecting the right data is important. So now we're moving in this period where the cookie is becoming deprecated and people are going to have to opt in. So how do you actually collect that data? Incentivizing people to share is going to be important. So there's going to be an iterative process, but quality over quantity is something I've been preaching for a long time, going back to the early days of my agency career in social media. And yes, we are the agency. I was part of the team, led the team that put out the real-time Oreo tweet at the Super Bowl and focus on, fast and quick and impactful. But now we're at a point that instead of just focusing on churning out a high volume of content, concentrating on the quality of this and making it relevant and valuable and will stand out is kind of the second pillar. And then making it really immersive, utilizing interactive elements, whether it's polls or quizzes, opening up the feedback loop. We're at a point now where this proliferation of content has made a lot of consumers feel like their voice isn't even being heard. So the idea of this feedback loop is important, right? Whether that's through VR, AR, it doesn't matter. Providing experiences that create opportunities for feedback is key. And, others will say storytelling is important, multimedia content is important. But I still go back to my early days of like social listening and engagement, just monitoring what people are saying on your channels and other channels, what the audience is talking about, engaging with them by responding to comments. That's important. It's a feedback loop as well, where you measure and optimize. I think by focusing on those elements and not just relying on whatever AI spits out, being more outcome oriented as opposed to output focused is what's going to differentiate those at the top from everybody else below.
Interesting. First of all, funny enough, just this morning I was in a meeting. I was talking exactly about the Oreo tweet back in the days about the Super Bowl. So it's
11 years ago. Yeah, it's every Super Bowl period it comes up again. Yeah. But there's a lot that went on behind the scenes and even beforehand that people don't realize, right? Yeah. The process for how content was created, having the team and the approval process really ironed out was key. But that wouldn't work today, right? That post would not have gotten what it got. I mean, the real secret behind it is after that post was created, within a few minutes of the lights going out, the influencer and PR engine was turned on by some key leaders across my agency, reaching out to the lead writers in marketing at the big trade publications. That's what took a tweet that got, 1 million earned impressions very quickly and turned it into 1 billion impressions pretty quickly.
Yeah. And on this, I have also a last question for today. That is about, again, we are bombarded with new things every day, new apps, a lot of content. We already said that, right? And so I think that we're discussing about also the low of diminishing returns, right? Especially when it comes to now, like TikTok, with the explosion of shopping content and so on. So first of all, what do you think about the social commerce, moment experience right now? Again, we're seeing a big boom, right, in that. But as everything that is new, right, you have the excitement at the beginning, and then maybe after 1 week, start decreasing and so on. So let's talk about social commerce for a second. How can brands potentially use gamification, incentives, and so on to avoid the peak of excitement on day one, but actually having recurring customers on the long term?
Yeah, this is still marketing 101. Every few years, there's a new series of tools that require some strategies to connect with and reach consumers in a way that drives the bottom line. And for this phase of a direct-to-consumer social shopping experience, it requires understanding of who your audience is. Is it changing because of these tools, or do you have the opportunity to change it, or do you even want to change who your audience is? Yeah. So not everyone is shopping on TikTok right now. Not everyone is buying online right now, although that's probably getting much smaller. I think almost everyone is buying online. But where is your consumer? Who is your consumer? What motivates them? These are still core questions that were asked 100 years ago, 50 years ago, and 50 minutes ago. But defining those data points and insights to inform your strategy, social shopping is a series of tactics. So getting the right product in front of the right audience with the right message, I feel like I hear everyone say that all the time, but that is true for this as well. The risk is because anyone can do it, there's going to be a rush. There's going to be a lot of crap. There are going to be a lot of people who say, oh, look what it's created. The beast is unleashed. And how can anyone cut through that clutter? And guess what? That was the same thing was said for social. And how did that evolve? Well, there were paid media and earned media and creator media channels that help differentiate the good from the mediocre from the terrible. And right now, those rules and those roles have not yet been defined. So it is still somewhat of a free-for-all. But gamification can help because by incentivizing a consumer to take an action, we can track those actions, we can reward them for those actions, and we can learn a lot about why they did what they did and where else they're doing it. So I'm excited about what's coming. I think it will also create a messy middle where certain platforms will try it and fail, certain platforms will try, fail, and optimize and improve, and others will kind of get it right and then not adapt and optimize as others catch up. It's the same story with innovation, but we are building something new together, and we have to be flexible and nimble, but also rely on a very quick feedback loop to listen, learn, and improve. There are key players that didn't exist before. Temu with its 4 Super Bowl commercials talking about social commerce. And look, they're going to make a big splash in the U.S. They're taking on eBay and Amazon, and I think are already bigger than Walmart globally. Like, they're not small. But how do all these companies adapt to the new tools? I'm excited to see it. But I think the law of diminishing returns is only going to be a short-term phase where, yes, the wheat is separated from the chaff, if you will, and the crap won't survive. And so all the knockoffs and the fake crap that's on TikTok right now, I don't think we'll see that in a year from now. I think we'll see big brands navigating and proceeding with caution, but then crushing it and knocking it out of the park because they can invest in the right tools and the right creative solutions to make it successful.
Yeah, I agree. Also, because if they don't do it, they're going to be so outdated, and, you get this sort of gap, between you and your audience that is also, right, getting more active on social. So if you don't do it, then you're out of the game.
Yeah, I mean, the other last trend that I'll mention that I think is becoming less of a trend and more of a reality is that brand of creators who leverage the tools the right way to build their brand and their business are becoming multifaceted entrepreneurs, and they will create product lines and ideally partner with big brands, whether it's, celebrities working with L'Oreal and beauty, or, Gucci and LVMH to collaborate on partnerships. You're going to see content plus commerce plus real amplified reach through many channels happening at once, and that will define a new playbook for how brands, creators, and media channels, I'm making air quotes that people can't see, but whatever that means for distribution in the next 1, 5, and 10 years, I want to be part of that. I want to look back and say, like, we blazed yet a new trail, right? Going back to the beginning. I love building stuff. I know you love building stuff. Let's see what success looks like and what role we can play in making that happen.
Totally. I'm with you with that. Matt, thank you so much for joining me today to, go through the story from Web 1 to Web 3 and what is next, and for, sharing your knowledge with us today.
It was my pleasure. Thank you, Alessandro, just for the opportunity to connect, and let's keep the progress ship moving in the right direction.
Fantastic. Love that. This was the Influence Factor by the Influencer Marketing Factory, and I'll see you next week.